Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Our current lecture is on megaloblastic anemia. The common theme among various causes of megaloblastic anemia, it is an impairment of DNA synthesis that leads to ineffective hematopoiesis and distinctive morphological changes, including abnormally large erythroid precursors and red cells. In megaloblastic anemia, certain changes they are distinctives, such as the erythroid precursors and the red cell in the bone marrow and the peripheral cells and the peripheral films, they are very large. The two principal types of megaloblastic anemia are pernicious anemia, which is caused by vitamin B12 deficiency, and folate deficiency anemia. We will study in detail anemias of vitamin B12 deficiency today. Normal vitamin B12 metabolism. The daily requirement is 2 to 3 micrograms daily. Under normal circumstances, humans are totally dependent on dietary vitamin B12, unlike iron, which is also obtained from hemolysis of red blood cells in the body. Microorganisms are the source of cobalamin in the food chain. Plants and vegetables, they contain little cobalamin. While the diet of animal sources, they contain significant larger amount and normally result in accumulation of intrahepatic stores of vitamin B12 that are sufficient to last for several years. In the diet, vitamin B12 it is bound to binding proteins, and when it enters the stomach under the action of pepsin, they both are freed from each other, and vitamin B12 it binds to heptocorrin, which is a salivary protein. In the duodenum, bound vitamin B12 is released from heptocorrin by the action of pancreatic proteases, and it is associated with the intrinsic factor. Intrinsic factor is released from gastric parietal cells. This complex of vitamin B12 intrinsic factor, it is transported to the ileum, where it is endocytosed by ileal enterocytes that express a receptor for intrinsic factor called tubulin on their surfaces. When this complex it enters a cell, vitamin B12 it associates itself with the carrier protein is called transcobalamin 2, and it is secreted into the plasma. Transcobalamin 2 it delivers vitamin B12 to the liver and the other cells of the body, including rapidly proliferating cells in the bone marrow and the gastrointestinal tract. In addition to this major pathway, there is also a poorly understood alternative uptake mechanism that do not require intrinsic factor or intact in terminal ileum. Up to 1% of large oral doses can be absorbed by this pathway, making it feasible to treat pernicious anemia with high doses of oral vitamin B12. So, a quick overview. In the oral cavity, vitamin B12 is bound to binding protein, and when it enters the stomach, vitamin B12 and heptocorrin they form a complex under the action of pepsin. In the duodenum, vitamin B12 and intrinsic factor is bound, and this binding is assisted by pancreatic proteases. In the ileum, vitamin B12 and intrinsic factor complex is endocytosed, and their receptors are tubulin. And in the enterocyte, vitamin B12 it is bound to transcobalamin 2. Biochemical functions of vitamin B12. Only two reactions in the human they are known to require vitamin B12. In the first reaction, methylcobalamin it serves as an essential cofactor in the conversion of homocysteine to methionine by methionine synthase. In simple words, homocysteine it is converted to methionine, and this reaction is catalyzed by methionine synthase, whose cofactor is methylcobalamin, which is a vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 it is also called cobalamin, and methylcobalamin it has an additional methyl group attached to it. In this process, methylcobalamin, it yields a methyl group that is recovered from N5-methyl tetrahydrofolic acid, which is a principal form of folic acid in plasma. In the same reaction, N5-methyl tetrahydrofolic acid is converted to tetrahydrofolic acid. Tetrahydrofolic acid, it is crucial because it is required for the conversion of deoxyuridine monophosphate to deoxythymidine monophosphate, which is a building block for DNA. It is postulated that the fundamental cause of impaired DNA synthesis in vitamin B12 deficiency is reduced availability of tetrahydrofolic acid, most of which is trapped as N5-methyl tetrahydrofolic acid. The tetrahydrofolic acid deficit may be further exacerbated by an internal folate deficiency caused by failure to synthesize metabolically active polyglutamated forms. Polyglutamated forms, they are the active forms of folic acid. When the folic acid it is present in the polyglutamated forms only, it is functional. This stems from the requirement for the vitamin B12 in the synthesis of methionine, which contributes a carbon group needed in the metabolic reactions that create folate polyglutamates. Whatever the mechanism, lack of folate is the proximate cause of anemia in vitamin B12 deficiency because anemia improves with the administration of folic acid. This picture is very important as we have seen that for the conversion of homocysteine to methionine, vitamin B12 in the form of methylcobalamin is required. This methylcobalamin in this conversion it transfers its methyl group to the homocysteine. As a result, methionine is formed. This reaction is catalyzed by methionine synthase. When the methyl group it is transferred and the cobalamin is formed, for this reaction to run smoothly, cobalamin should acquire methyl group again. For this purpose, methyl group is acquired from N5-methyl tetrahydrofolic acid. After the donation of methyl group, it is converted to tetrahydrofolic acid and it is stored as N5,10-methylene tetrahydrofolic acid. This complex is very important because it forms deoxythymidine monophosphate, which is a DNA building block. So if you can see, if there is a deficiency of folic acid, it will also exacerbate the vitamin B12 deficiency. So for the proper functioning of vitamin B12, folic acid is also required. The second reaction that depends on vitamin B12 is the isomerization of methylmalonyl coenzyme A to succinyl coenzyme A, which requires adenosylcobalamin, which is a prosthetic group on the enzyme methylmalonyl coenzyme A mutase. A deficiency of vitamin B12 thus leads to increased plasma and urine levels of methylmalonic acid. This is a linear reaction in which propionyl coenzyme A is converted into methylmalonyl coenzyme A, and this methylmalonyl CoA is converted into succinyl CoA under the effect of adenosylcobalamin. When vitamin B12 is deficient, this reaction is not catalyzed. As a result, methylmalonyl CoA and propionyl CoA, they will be accumulated in the body. This is a mechanism of increased urinary and plasma levels of methylmalonyl. So when there is an interruption of this reaction, there will be a buildup of methylmalonate and propionate, and they could lead to the formation and incorporation of abnormal fatty acid into the neuronal lipids. It has been suggested that this biochemical abnormality predisposes to myelin breakdown and thereby produces the neurological complications of vitamin B12 deficiency. So, adenosylcobalamin deficiency, it is culprit behind the neuronal damages we seen in vitamin B12 deficiency. They destroyed the myelin sheath, and as a result, the patient they usually present with paresthesia or numbness. Pernicious anemia. Pernicious anemia, it is a specific form of vitamin B12 deficiency, and it is caused by autoimmune gastritis that impair the production of intrinsic factor which is required for vitamin B12 uptake from the gut. As we have studied before, that intrinsic factor, it is released from the gastric parietal cells, and it will bind to vitamin B12 in the duodenum, and this complex is um, endocytosed or absorbed in the gut at the point of ileum. The tendency to develop pernicious anemia, it is linked to genetic variants involving the inflammasome, suggesting that altered innate immunity may also play some role. So pernicious anemia, it occurs because of autoantibodies, and it is an autoimmune disorder. Epidemiology. It occurs in all racial groups including blacks and Hispanics, and it is more prevalent in Scandinavian and other Caucasian populations. It is a disease of older adults, and the median age at diagnosis is 60 years, and it is rare in people younger than 30 years. This disease is very common in the old age because the gut functioning is changed, and the diet is also not proper. A genetic predisposition is strongly suspected, but no definable genetic pattern of transmission has been discerned. Many affected individuals, they have a tendency to form antibodies against multiple self antigens, such as against thyroid gland. Pathogenesis. Pernicious anemia, it is believed to result from an autoimmune attack on the gastric mucosa. Autoantibodies, they are of diagnostic utility, but they are not thought to be the primary cause of gastric pathology. Rather, it seems that an autoreactive T cell response initiates gastric mucosal injury, and as a result of mucosal injury, there is a formation of autoantibodies. When the mass of intrinsic factor secreting cells, they fall below a threshold and a reserve of stored vitamin B12, they are depleted, anemia develops. Histologically, there is a chronic atrophic gastritis marked by loss of parietal cells, a prominent infiltration of lymphocytes and plasma cells, and megaloblastic changes in mucosal cells similar to those found in the erythroid precursor. We will study histology in detail in the diagnosis segment. So, three types of autoantibodies, they are present in many but not all of the patient. They are given the name of type 1 or antibody, type 2 and type 3. In type 1 antibodies, they are present in 75% of patients of pernicious anemia, and this antibody, it will block the binding of vitamin B12 to intrinsic factor. Type 1 antibodies, they are found in both plasma and gastric juice. Type 2 antibodies, they prevent binding of intrinsic factor and vitamin B12 complex to its ileal receptor, which is cubilin. These antibodies, they are also found in large proportion of patients with pernicious anemia. Type 3 antibodies, they are present in 85 to 90% of the patient, and they recognize alpha and beta subunits of gastric proton pump, which is normally localized to the microvilli of canalicular system of gastric parietal cell. As we have seen that the vitamin B12 and binding protein complex, it is separated from each other, by the pepsin and the acidic environment. When the autoantibodies they destroy the gastric proton pump, the acidic environment is not created and they will remain bound to each other. Type 3 antibodies they are not specific in that they are found in many as 50% of older adults with idiopathic chronic gastritis, and they do not develop pernicious anemia. Presentation: the onset is usually insidious with gradually progressive symptoms and signs of anemia. The patient may be mildly jaundiced because of the excessive breakdown of hemoglobin resulting from increased ineffective erythropoiesis in the bone marrow. Mild symptoms of malabsorption with loss of weight may be present because of the epithelial abnormality and the purpura as a result of thrombocytopenia. With time, the tongue may become shiny, glazed, and beefy, will result in atrophic glossitis. The gastric atrophy and metaplastic changes they are due to autoimmunity and not the vitamin B12 deficiency, which means the epithelium of gastric and gastric mucosa they are destroyed by autoantibodies. So when we give parenteral administration of vitamin B12 is given, it will correct the megaloblastic changes in the marrow and the epithelial cells of alimentary tract, but atrophy and acholoradia will persist. The second very common manifestation is paresthesia and numbness. For and this symptom will hit the central nervous system. The central nervous system lesions they are found about 3/4 of all the cases of pernicious anemia. The principal alternation they involve the cord where there is demyelination of dorsal and lateral spinal tracts, and and sometimes it will also cause loss of axon. These changes they give rise to spastic paraparesis, sensory ataxia, and severe paresthesia in the lower limbs. Less frequently, degenerative changes they occur in the ganglia of posterior root and in the peripheral nerves. Complications: gastric carcinoma, atherosclerosis, thrombosis, and vascular diseases. Diagnosis: the anemia is macrocytic and the mean cell volume is greater than 98 femtoliters and often as high as 120 to 140 femtoliters. If iron deficiency anemia coexist, the MCV may be normal. The total white cell and platelet counts may be moderately reduced, especially in severely anemic patients. So the patient of megaloblastic anemia, they can also present with pancytopenia. The RBC morphology will show macroevelocytes which are highly characteristic for megaloblastic anemia. These cells they are larger than normal and they contain ample hemoglobin. Most microcytes they lack the central pallor of normal red cells and even appear hyperchromic, but the MCHC is not elevated. Anisocytosis and poikilocytosis is also seen. Reticulocyte count is low. Nucleated red blood cells they occasionally appear in the circulating blood when anemia is severe. The WBC morphology is also altered as the neutrophils they will be enlarged and there will be hypersegmentation. Normally there are 3 to 4 nuclear segments, but in megaloblastic anemia they will be 5 to 6. This is a peripheral picture. These are the normal cells in which central 1/3 is hollow, while these are macrovelocytes which are enlarged cell, and you see that the central hollow is disappeared. As a result, it appears like the cells they are hyperchromic but the hemoglobin concentration it is normal. And this is a neutrophil which shows hypersegmentation. This neutrophil it shows about 7 to 8 segments. And then for the diagnosis, vitamin B12 is advised, and the normal levels are 160 to 925 nanograms per liter. Serum B12 level it is low in megaloblastic anemia or neuropathy caused by B12 deficiency. In B12 deficiency, the serum folate levels will be high, but the red cell folate will be low. Serum methylmalonate level they are also carried out in vitamin B12 deficiency, but it is of no diagnostic value. The bone marrow examination. The bone marrow will be extremely hypercellular. Erythroid development will show megaloblastic changes and they will be detectable at all stages of erythroid development. The most primitive cells are promegaloblasts. They are large with a deeply basophilic cytoplasm, prominent nuclei, and a distinctive fine nuclear chromatin pattern. As these cells differentiate and begin to accumulate hemoglobin, the nucleus retains its finely distributed chromatin and fails to develop the clumped pycnotic chromatin typical of normoblast. While nuclear maturation is delayed, cytoplasmic maturation and hemoglobin accumulation proceed at a normal pace, leading to nuclear to cytoplasmic asynchrony. Granulocyte development, they also display dysmaturation in the form of giant metamelocytes and band forms. Megakaryocyte development, they are abnormally large and have a bizarre multilobate nuclei. This is a picture of bone marrow aspiration. These cells, they are megaloblast. The nucleus, it is large and the chromatin is finely distributed. And this cytoplasm is basophilic, deeply basophilic. The the DNA maturation, it is impaired, while the hemoglobinization and cytoplasmic maturation, they are proceeded as normal. These two are also megaloblast. In this cell, in the pinkish cytoplasm, it shows that the hemoglobin maturation is normal. These are the giant metamyelocytes. This is a normal megakaryocyte, and this shows a hyperlobated megakaryocytes, which is seen in megaloblastic anemia. The marrow hyperplasia is due to erythropoietin. Although there is cellularity is increased, but the derangement in DNA synthesis that causes the most precursor to undergo apoptosis in the bone marrow and leads to pancytopenia. This is called ineffective erythropoiesis, that the bone marrow is producing cells, but because of the lack of development, the cells will die. The cell will die in the bone marrow, and they are unable to enter the circulation, leading to pancytopenia. This anemia is further exacerbated by a mild degree of red cell hemolysis of uncertain etiology. Gastric histology. The stomach typically shows diffuse chronic gastritis. The most characteristic alternation is fundic gland atrophy, which affecting both chief cells and parietal cells, and the parietal cells they are totally destroyed. The glandular epithelium is replaced by mucus secreting goblet cells that resemble those lining with the large intestine, a form of metaplastic referred to as intestinalization. Some of the cells, as well as their nuclei, they may increase to double the normal size, a megaloblastic change analogous to that seen in the marrow. This picture shows a gastric histology. There is a lymphocyte infiltration. and the normal parietal cells, they are replaced by goblet cells. This phenomena is called intestinalization, and the cells, they are increase in size. These changes, they are called megaloblastic changes. Treatment: most cases they only need therapy with the appropriate vitamin. If large doses of folic acid they are given in B12 deficiency, they cause a hematological response but may aggravate the neuropathy. So it is recommended that folic acid is never given alone. In severely anemic patients who need treatment urgently, it may be safer to initiate treatment with both vitamins after blood has been taken for B12 and folate assay. Large doses they are needed daily to get enough absorbed, and compliance with the long-term therapy may be a problem. Oral therapy may be more appropriate for those with mild degree of B12 deficiency, for example with malabsorption of food B12. Thank you.